Okay, let's get right into it. We're here to talk about an invisible workforce that's operating inside your company right now. It's unbelievably productive, but it's completely ungoverned. And honestly, it represents one of the biggest unseen risks to your entire enterprise today.
So let's just start with a number, 96%. As of this year, that's the percentage of your enterprise employees who are using generative AI. This isn't some future trend we need to plan for. It's what's happening right now in every single department. And here's the part that really matters. 80% of your office workers are using these public AI tools without any official company approval. That's right. They're bringing their own AI to work, completely bypassing procurement, bypassing security, and operating totally in the shadows.
Which brings us to the one question that every leader needs to be asking themselves. If your IT and security teams didn't sign off on these tools, then who is governing them? Who's managing the risk? Who's watching the data? And the answer, most likely, is nobody.
So what do we call this? Well, this whole phenomenon has a name, shadow AI. And, while it might sound a lot like the old problem of shadow IT, it's actually a much more volatile and dangerous evolution of that risk.
So what is it exactly? Well, at its core, shadow AI is just the use of any AI tool that hasn't been formally approved or vetted by your organization. And look, it's driven by good intentions. Your employees are just trying to be more productive. But it's happening without any governance, and that creates this massive blind spot for your security team.
And here's where we really need to understand the difference. Shadow IT, that was about your data ending up in the wrong place, like a personal Dropbox account. Shadow AI, it's a completely different beast. When an employee pastes your proprietary source code or a sensitive customer email into a public AI model, that data isn't just stored, it's processed. It can actually become a permanent part of the model's training data. And that means it's ready to be spit back out in an answer to a competitor's question. And once it's in there, you can never get it back.
Now, this is not just some theoretical risk. This mad dash for productivity comes with a very real and very high price tag. And we can measure it in cold hard cash and serious regulatory penalties.
Take this number, $670,000. That's the average extra cost of a data breach when shadow AI is involved. That's more than $500,000 tacked on to an already catastrophic event, all because of unmanaged AI tools.
And from a regulatory standpoint, the consequences are severe. A major GDPR infringement can land you a fine of up to 20 million euros, or 4% of your global revenue, whichever one is higher. And something as simple as asking a public AI to summarize a report that contains customer data could be enough to trigger these massive penalties.
All of this adds up to something we're calling governance debt. Think of it this way. Every little productivity shortcut an employee takes with an unvetted AI tool is like taking out a high-interest loan. Sure, you see the efficiency gains right away, but you're quietly racking up this huge hidden liability of technical and compliance risk that is absolutely going to come due.
To really see how fast this debt can spiral out of control, we need to look at a whole new class of tools, autonomous agents. And we're going to use a real-world example of a tool called OpenClaw to see just how bad it can get.
Now, OpenClaw is nothing like a simple chatbot that just gives you text. People are calling it AI with hands, and for good reason. It can actually execute commands on your computer, it can read and write files, it can control your web browser, and yeah, employees are adopting it because it can do amazing things like autonomously fix a production bug. But that level of autonomy requires deep system privileges.
Security researchers have a name for this. They call it the lethal trifecta. First, the agent has access to all your private data. Second, it's exposed to untrusted content from all over the web. And third, it can communicate externally. But OpenClaw adds this terrifying fourth element, persistent memory. It actually remembers conversations for weeks. So what does that mean? It means a malicious instruction hidden in an email can just sit there, dormant, and then trigger a harmful action days or even weeks later.
And the results are exactly what you'd expect. I mean, look at this table of vulnerabilities that were found almost immediately. It's clear the focus was on capability, not security. Let's just take the top one. This allows for one-click remote code execution. An attacker just needs to trick the agent into visiting one malicious website and bang, they have complete administrative control over that person's machine. It's that simple.
So how widespread is this? Is it a niche problem? Not at all. Security scans found over 135,000 OpenClaw instances exposed directly on the public internet, many of them running with authentication turned off by default. This is a massive, uncontrolled attack surface running both inside and outside our networks.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's big, it's scary. So what do we do? The answer is not to just ban these tools. That's a losing battle. It'll just drive them further underground. The real solution is to build a playbook for what we call governed enablement, where we start to regain visibility and control.
First things first, detection. And you can't just rely on one signal. You need multiple layers. Of course, you need to analyze network and DNS traffic for connections to known AI platforms, but what's really crucial is endpoint monitoring that looks for the behavior of an AI agent. You know, a process that's reading files and talking to the internet all by itself. We call this an agent-shaped pattern, and you can spot it even if an employee has tried to hide the tool by renaming the file.
Next, you have to provide a safe alternative. Instead of just saying no, you provide a safe lab, a secure AI sandbox. This is a totally controlled, isolated environment where your employees can experiment without putting the company at risk. By containerizing the tool, isolating it from the host system, and having strict rules about its network access, you let innovation happen, but you do it safely.
And finally, you have to evolve your entire security model. We are entering a world where AI agents and other non-human identities are going to outnumber your human employees. That means you have to shift to a privilege-centric approach. Start with visibility. Find out which agents are touching your most sensitive data. Then gain intelligence on their effective permissions, not just what they're supposed to have. And then you enforce protection through zero standing privilege, granting access only when it's needed for exactly as long as it's needed, and not a second more.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. Your employees are going to use AI. The productivity gains are simply too huge to ignore. An outright ban isn't a strategy. It's just a catalyst for more underground usage. It only expands the shadows where these tools operate. The only real path forward is governed enablement, bringing AI out of the shadows and into the light where you have visibility, you have guardrails, and you have control.